Good evening, everybody, and welcome to PSGL for the final F3 race of 2020, and it should be an absolutely cracking race indeed. Round 3 out of 12 here in season 27, around the longest circuit on the F1 calendar, the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge, and alongside me in the comments box tonight, as usual, is Sam Thompson. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great tonight, and well, it's looking quite dismal in the commentary box here, to be honest, in Belgium. We'll get on to that in a minute, but really, I'm doing good tonight. I think we'll be in for a really exciting race ahead. 17 drivers, including the driver that will be joining us shortly in qualifying to go around this Belgian circuit. And, well, I'm really interested for tonight because this is a really good track for racing.
Yeah, definitely one of the classic tracks in Formula One. Minor changes over the years, but has always maintained that high-speed character. And as I said, it is the longest circuit on the calendar, and there is plenty of opportunities for overtaking. If you weren't with us last time at the British Grand Prix, it was a second victory in a row for M Short, but he's unable to make it tonight, so he won't be making it 3 in a row. But unless someone takes a victory and a fastest lap, he will still be in the lead of the championship. He's the only man who's finished on the podium in both races. He's the only man who's finished in the top 5 in both of the races. It was Benny who finished second last time around in the Ferrari, and Ferreira getting 3rd position in the Haas. Still very early days, obviously, in the championship, but M Short does have 32 points. Zach has 16, Ferreira 14, Benny has 12, a name changer who's bumped up into F2. Despite only doing one race, he is currently 5th on 10 points, and in the Constructors' Championship, it is McLaren with a 15-point lead over Red Bull. That could change with there only being one Red Bull driver here tonight, and as you can see, it's going to be a very tricky qualifying session. It is absolutely throwing it down here at Spa. Unsurprisingly, everyone on the full wets.
Yeah, and, well, this is a track where pretty much you see rain no matter what lobby you're in. Luckily, we escaped it from our race yesterday in F7, and despite that, I'm pretty sure most tiers have seen some sort of rain. And I mean, it's kind of a curse here at Belgium. It's probably one of those tracks you'd want to do wet practice, one of the few tracks that you want to do wet practice for, because it's almost a guarantee you're going to see some wet weather along the way. However, we don't know where it's going to hit. Well, today it's hit qualifying, and, well, it's hit quite badly, it looks.
Yeah, because of the shape and the pure length of Spa in the real Formula 1, it's quite a unique circuit where it can be bone dry at one end of the circuit and absolutely sodden at the other. So we'll see how Lars can cope with the conditions. He spins the wheels in that racing point. Managed to get a 4th place last time out. Can he do better around here and get his first podium of the season? Locking up slightly into a last source, being very careful on the traction, avoiding going full throttle until he's even got up into 5th gear. Oh, Rouge is straightforward in the dry. It's going to be anything but in these wet conditions. He's having to downshift and lift off the throttle there as he came over the crest of the hill at Radion, down the Camel Straight. If it's dry, you'll have DRS down here, and that makes it by far the best overtaking opportunity in normal conditions on the brakes then into Lacombe, taking quite a bit more curve than I would expect you to take in the wet conditions. It is very easy to spin the car around, nice and smooth movements on the wheel as he heads through Malmedy and then downhill into Bruxelles, where Lewis Hamilton actually went off here in the 2010 race as it started to rain, but managed to recover to take the victory through the no-name corner. Now keeps it clean quite often. We do see drivers invalidated on the exit of this corner, and also Pouhon is another one where you do see a few invalidations. Lars just about pushing it to the edge and getting away with it there. Now coming up towards the Camper chicane, a medium speed corner, so you wouldn't expect to see a lot of overtaking around here, but again on the exit, need to be careful on the track limits, especially as there's a bit of gravel there, so if you run too wide, you will easily spin off circuit in a similar way to what Antonio Giovinazzi did. And there, coming through Stavelot, we have seen him invalidate through Paul Frere, up to Stavelot now, and heading towards Blanchimont, a bit like Eau Rouge, slightly tamer than it used to be back in the 80s and 90s. With a modern Formula 1 car, you can see, even in these wet conditions, just about managing to go through there flat out. Whether he'll be able to do that in these conditions at a full load of fuel, I'm not quite sure. Heading to the bus stop chicane, he's going to carry on Anyway, you see drivers quite often in wet qualifying do multiple laps on their tyres and a 155.542. So we're talking about 14 and a half, 15 seconds probably off what you'd expect in normal dry conditions. And Compassion was the first driver to set a valid lap time with a 156.704.
Yeah, so very early days, very difficult to really tell what the benchmark is. Last time looked quick, I cannot remember what it was already, but I'm looking on board with Dynastics, looks like a good lap, and already Compassion is on the back foot there as it shows from Ferreira's lap time. Whether that's just Compassion made a mistake or something, or the times are just going down. Faz setting a 0.2, so huge gaps between Compassion and Faz, and then Lakitu coming in as well. So the times coming in right now seem to be very varied at the moment, which you would expect from a track that is the longest on the calendar. But from 7 times, we can see probably 6 official times there. I can't really see Zach setting that as his quickest time, but at the moment, Faz seems to be pretty much on top of this at the moment.
Yeah, Faz, one of the drivers to actually score points in both of the races this season. I think there's only 4 to do that. The top 3 in the championship and him. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't finished any higher than 8th place. So what that does mean is at this moment in time, he is currently in 12th in the championship, despite on paper being one of the favourites for this season with such a good finish in F2 last season in the championship. And he did finish 2nd in the season 26 F2 race around here. So he's got good form around this circuit. We'll go on board with Gonanainen, see what he can do at the moment. In that Alfa Romeo invalidated his first run. And because everyone's going out for multiple times, you'll expect the times to go down. Unless, even if it's a full wet race, it should have plenty of wet tyres. They are extremely durable. So even one fresh set of wets for the race, you'll probably get away with, as Lars now goes fastest. Are these drivers just heading out there to get a bit of a feel for the track and also to ensure that if the conditions do get a bit nicer, you don't want to be sat in the pit lane?
I wonder really, and Lars of course now setting the quickest time, which we do expect the times to go down, but really I just feel like like you said, I feel like the guys are just getting the feel for the track. Not many of these would have done too much wet practice. I doubt there would be much wet practice to go off for some of these guys. Some of them alternatively would be dedicating a lot of their time to the wet conditions, and well, I guess we'll see really with Lars here. He probably has put a little bit of time in, but for me, I feel like most of these guys are just getting a feel for the track at the moment, and I felt like Lars' time was a particular idea of that. Perhaps Zach as well, setting a poor time, but it was a benchmark. However, we don't really know who's really on it, who's off it, or anything. As Faz is already out, he's spun at El Rouge or Radion. I always forget which one's which, but has he had a moment there with Ferreira? Because Ferreira seemed a little slow off the exit there. I wonder if they've had a bit of a moment.
Well, Ferreira doesn't look to have any damage. I wonder if that was just whether Ferreira's been slowing down at the top of the hill and he's caught Faz out, but it's perhaps unsurprising that someone has lost it at the top of the hill, and if it does start drying out, Faz could very well find himself at the back of the grid. So he's in 3rd at the moment, but will he drop any more? We've still got a few drivers yet to set a lap time. Rist in the Alfa Romeo, he's reserving in there, and he's really struggling at this moment in time. In fact, no, I think this might be his first race actually as a full-time driver, so we're interested to see what he can do, but struggling a bit for traction at that part of the circuit. Black Phoenix looking nice and steady as he comes up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Got a good finish last time out, his first points of the season in 6th position. But if you remember the F3 race from last year where it started raining at the end of the race, him and Karlsberg decided to stay out on dry tyres, and it's fair to say for both of them it didn't work out, with Karlsberg retiring and Black Phoenix dropping way down the order to last place. You really need to be on the right tyres, obviously, at the right time, and it's probably not worth a gamble around such a long circuit as Spa, just hanging out one lap longer to see if you can hold on, because if you get it wrong, you are going to lose so much time on the wrong set of tyres.
Yeah, and I think I said this about Britain as well. It's one of those tracks really that is so difficult really to depictuate a dry to wet or a wet to dry sort of strategy, is because how long the lap is here, and for Silverstone it's how long the pit lane is really. But Silverstone isn't exactly the shortest track, but this track, the longest track on the calendar, doesn't have a particularly long pit lane. However, because of the sheer size of this track, you'll be looking, well, for wet to dry conditions, you'll probably be looking at high 40s, as that's in 1 minute 40s. I'm not sure exactly the delta there, as I was looking at board with Black Phoenix there, holding the car of the exit of Blondemont. But yeah, this track is so long, so if it stops raining and then becomes that dry period towards the start of, say, the leader's lap, but the guys that are around the midfield can come into the pits onto dry tyres, that's really going to expose the front runners. So really, it's going to be a huge decision to make to whether it's time to come into dries if it is a wet race at the start as well, or alternatively dry to wet.
Yeah, definitely. It can always be interesting, and we'll see what the weather... We might get a bit of an idea, actually, at the end of qualifying when we go into the race, as that's interesting. Ferreira, very briefly there, was showing a set of intermediate tyres. I'm guessing he was just looking at what the delta was on the pit screen, because that is normally the best way of telling it. If that starts dropping, you want to be coming out of the pit lane maybe when it says the wets are about a second faster than the intermediates, because by the time you get around, they will definitely not be quicker. But it's Cedric on top at the moment in a Mercedes. It was a very tough race for the Mercedes drivers last time out, with both Joey and Cedric retiring. I believe it was Cedric's retirement that ended up bringing out a safety car, which caused a bit of mixture in the strategy in what was a very overcast British Grand Prix. He's on top, though, at the moment with Benny, Lars, Louis, and Faz, who has retired from the session, as Dynastics now goes fastest on a 1:54.626, even around the longest track on the circuit, even in torrential rain conditions. We've only got 1,000th of a second between the top two.
That's mental. Like, in the wet conditions, torrential rain, and then like you said, the length of this track, like, it just seems to show really to the audience really that how close these grids can get in PSGL. Like, it could be so close. You've got to think there's 11 tiers of depth within this league, and obviously the top tier is probably the closest for depth, but this is a tier that is particularly being close, and well shown here that it's close. Belgium is a track that people do enjoy. However, again, like I said earlier, we don't really know how much practice these guys have put in for the wet conditions. For the dry, we'll have a rough amount. We'll probably say most of their practice has been on the dry conditions, looking at dry setups, etc. But perhaps there has been the few that have been doing a little bit of wet practice, and then again, we don't know how much wet practice they would have been doing. But it's just really the sheer depth within these fields are incredible, and I think that just shows with Dynastics and Cedric pinging 1,000th off each other, and I do expect the rest to play catch up and catch up to the leaders as well.
Yeah, certainly. We have got 5 minutes 25 then remaining of this session. A few drivers have headed out on a second set of wet tyres, so only wanting to keep one set for the race suggests to me that we might get away with dry conditions, or at least not heavy rain conditions, but it is possible to actually stretch the wet tyres pretty much no stop if you want to. You don't have to make that compulsory pit stop in wet conditions, so you could get away with it, although I don't think the tyres would be in too much of a good condition afterwards. Dynastic, Cedric, Benny, Lars and Louis are top 5 then at the moment, and as we said, it is extremely close. Top 11 separated by a second at this moment in time in the longest circuit in these conditions. That is extremely impressive from all these drivers. In the F3 tier, which is the top tier that allows any assists in PSGL, the only one you're allowed on the Monday nights is a deracing line, and F3 is the highest. If you're in F1, which are taking a break for tonight, and if you're in F2, which is live now as well, you're not allowed any assists whatsoever, as Joey is taking some very interesting lines there. He just got on the curb ever so slightly, I think, on the exit of Stavolo, and that ruined his lap, unfortunately for him. They're definitely pushing hard as the track's maybe improving ever so slightly. The times have come down a tiny bit, and we did see someone almost look as though they were tempted by the intermediates, but I imagine now it will be forwards towards the end as Black Phoenix finds a full second on those fresher tyres. He goes into 7th position. We're going to see the times starting to come down now, I think.
Yeah, Louis on a lap through Clawing right now. There's a bunch of others through a lap. I'm trying to figure out who's the highest up. Is it Zach? Yes, it is Zach, I believe. So he'll be the next across the line. Looks like Pat was looking at potentially going for intermediates there. I looked on the side there as well. He was thinking about it, but he's transferred over to wets again. I don't think it's intermediate conditions out there. Like, you look on the line, yes, you could probably argue, but when you go off the line, it looks horrible. So I cannot see it being intermediate conditions as of this session. Probably after this session, if there's another 10 minutes out of it, but who knows. Zach doesn't improve. It looked like he was lined up for a lap anyway. No one seems to be improving. I say that, but Lakitu's just gone top spot there with a 54.4. So times definitely are coming down, and the conditions still are probably good.
Yeah, Lakitu, one of the fastest drivers we've seen so far this season, got a 4th in Australia and a 16th in the last race at Silverstone because of a drive-through penalty that really cost him for speeding under the safety car. He's had a fastest lap in both of the races, so maybe this could be a chance to take the podium and possibly even a victory in M Short's absence. Who have we got heading towards the line now? We've got a few drivers on out laps. Rist has invalidated his Gunainen coming around Blanchimont in 10th at the moment. And let's not forget, if we do, well, no matter what the conditions are going to be in the race, they will all have a fresh choice of tyres. And if it's a dry race, you would expect most of the field to be going for a soft medium or a medium soft strategy. And imagine with a fresh set of tyres, probably going to go for that medium soft the majority of the field. Gunainen sticks around in 10th place at the moment. Black Phoenix is improving a tiny bit. Can he move himself up? Gets into the top 5, and this is a problem with Faz. He made that mistake earlier on. Be very surprised if he actually manages to hold on to a top 10 position.
Yeah, and well, I think Faz is surprisingly the only one to retire. I was expecting more people to probably end up in the wall at El Rouge, but everyone seems to be quite confidently making it to the line and not spinning out there, which is a good thing to see. But for Faz, maybe he had a little bit more of confidence going into this, and maybe thought, you know, I've retired, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to be around top 5. And, well, looking at the times now, it's not the case. So if that was the sort of complacency shown by Faz there, perhaps that's probably what's cost him a huge chunk of positions as he moves down another position now, as I believe Zach's just improved his lap. But we'll just have to wait and see how far Faz will go down, because these times don't look too promising from Faz from the early doors. And, well, like you said, everyone seems to be improving towards the end now.
Yeah, everyone seems to be just finding a bit of time. We've seen Cedric go fastest on a 154.3. Viss invalidated his lap. Ginger has gone up into 10th, an identical time set to Lars. We'll see what Louis is doing in the Red Bull. He's about to head towards the finish line. He's invalidated, so just taking that wider line to get the best possible traction, if you can get any traction in these conditions, on the way into bus stop. Most of the drivers will be able to get either on their final laps or maybe one more lap, you'd imagine, for, I think that's Gunainen, the 2 Hassers, and the Racing Point of Compassion will probably just be able to get one more lap. After this, Black Phoenix, it's going to be pretty tight. We'll see what Sebvet can do. He looks as though he's just warming up for another lap, as is Compassion. It must be really cold out there. We don't get an indication of tyre temperatures, but everyone really struggling to warm up their tyres at the last minute. Black Phoenix, then, he's heading back towards the pits, so he won't be setting another lap time, and the checkered flag is soon going to come out. Joey's invalidated his lap, so 13th is the best he's going to be. Benny is absolutely flying at the moment. He's had a big moment, though, for Stavolo. He is 7/10 up, though, coming through Sector 2.
Yeah, and I'm watching Rist at the moment. I'll just go to Benny, because Benny is close to finishing. And he's had a little bit of a moment with Blanchimont there as he comes towards the bus stop chicane. I don't think that may have lost him too much time, but has that cost him potentially pole position? Possibly. Let's have a look, though, as he comes across the line. A huge moment, but he's got top spot at the moment. Who is next across the line then? I think it's just about to be an Alpha Tauri of Ginger. Ginger doesn't improve. Neither does Joey, neither does Lakitu. Actually, Lakitu does. Well, we're back to the same situation, except from it's the other Ferrari. Not Dynastics, it's Benny that is only 1,000 quicker than Lakitu. Looking now for Dynastics, where is he going to cross the line? Doesn't go quicker. Few drivers now coming through, but they're all coming into the pits, it looks like, which is a rather shame. One driver left to go then. I think it is an Alpha Tauri to finish. I don't know who it is still yet to come across the line. I think Sebvet is the last driver, and he's down on his time, which is not great to see.
The Sebvet is down on his time. I think Ferreira's heading towards the finish line as well, but he has invalidated. You've got Compassion as well. He's coming through Blanchimont now. He's had a huge slide in that racing point, so he will be the last car across the line. He is improving ever so slightly. It might be enough to sneak him into the top 10, maybe around where his teammate is at this moment in time. So what can Compassion do in the racing point? Comes across the line and does just displace his teammate. But it is Benny on pole position for the first time this season. What can he do from there? Didn't finish it Australia. Took second place last time out at Silverstone. He's on pole, and it's a German 1-2 with Lakitu missing out on that top spot by 1,000th of a second, and Cedric also only 18 thousandths off of pole position. Extremely close between the top three then in that qualifying session. Louis is fourth, then it's Gonainen, Dynastics, Ferreira, Black Phoenix, Zach, and Compassion are your top 10. Lars, Ginger, BRT Faz, who had the accident, Joey, Pat, Rist, Sebvet, the 17 drivers there. Still extremely close between the top 13, and I've got to say, they're all within a second of each other. Despite crashing out, I'd have thought Faz might have dropped a bit further down the order.
Yeah, same here, to be honest. It looked like the track conditions seemed to be so much better, and it looked like some drivers were even going seconds quicker than their previous time. So it kind of surprises me to see Faz down there in 13th. It was a good first lap from him, but I just don't understand what happened really to him. Whether he was on a push lap, which he obviously was, because he then ended up crashing out, and because of that, it kind of cost him probably a potential hunt for pole position.
Yeah, who knows if he'd been near the front, his teammate only 1,000th off of pole position. We'll have to see if Faz can work his way up. Any chance of the alternate strategy really goes out the window, because everyone's probably going to be trying a similar strategy at the moment. Everyone gets a fresh choice of tyres. It's normally a standard one-stop race. We did say the pit lane is quite short. You'll have seen it show up on the graphic earlier. It's about a 17-second pit loss time around here. And to be honest, it is not the easiest of pit entries. It's very easy to get it wrong, especially if you've picked up any damage on lap 1. You may just find yourself struggling to get your way into the pit lane. And it's also probably not the best track to be starting from pole position on, because you don't have a long run down to La Source, so you're probably not going to get overtaken there, but there is an extremely long run all the way down the Kemmel Straight around this circuit. First used in Formula 1 in 1950, a bit shorter than it was then at 7.004 kilometres, 19 turns, 2 DRS zones, and extremely undulating, extremely challenging for all of the drivers, and that is really why they love it so much. We'll see what tyres everyone is choosing. Bit of a mix amongst the field. Benny, Cedric, Gonainen and Compassion on the softs. Everyone else has gone for the mediums.
Wow, what an interesting strategy there from those four on the softs. I think the strategy for Benny would be, and well, Cedric as well, would be just to get in front of the medium runners quickly, and I think this could be a good strategy there for them too. However, they really need to show their pace on those soft tyres, because at the end, when those mediums are off and the softs are on towards the end, they will be going quicker than the soft tyres to the mediums. So for Benny, Cedric and Gonainen, it would be more about just pacing themselves, in my opinion, just making sure that they can make the most out of their soft tyres and then just make the most out of their mediums as well. It's more about just pushing. Well, Lakitu is an interesting one on the mediums. These front runners I would expect to probably go on the softs, but they've decided to half of them go on the mediums. But I mean, the surprise one for me is Compassion. What's he doing on the softs, really? I don't really know. Now that he's in that midfield, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one for him, because he has way more grip than these guys off the line. And, well, this one particularly, as he actually had a spin or something, because he's at the back of the grid. But more interestingly, the fact that he's in 10th place, it could actually be a bit dangerous for him being in that midfield amongst medium tyre drivers. As obviously, like I said, there's a lack of grip from them compared to Compassion.
Yeah, I can understand when you do it at the front, because you've got free air to use those soft tyres. Compassion, if he doesn't get past the cars in the early stages, if he maybe finds himself getting stuck in a DRS train, he could find it very difficult to work his way through the order. But we'll have to wait and see. He's warming his tyres up now at the moment and has caught back up. There was quite a severe gap in the pack there, which is a bit strange to see. Normally you'd expect drivers to maybe stay closer together. Whether that was a bit tactical to cool down the tyres of some of those in front of him, especially those on the medium tyres, because they definitely take a bit longer to heat up. It looks like Renault of Lakitu has just headed off track slightly there. We'll have 22 laps around this circuit then, the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Don't be surprised if you do see the odd safety car. The race I raced in, F11, had 2 of them. The race I've commentated on yesterday in F7 had a couple as well. Don't be surprised if it makes an appearance here, and with the overcast conditions at the moment, don't be too surprised if we do get the odd sprinkling of rain either, perhaps towards the end of the race. Seb Vet is in position, and it's Benny with that perfect view on the run down towards turn 1 as we wait for the lights to start coming on here at Spa. We've got 4 lights, we've got 5 lights. And we're underway in Belgium. What are the starts like? It seems like Benny's got a fantastic start indeed there to get away into turn 1. Cedric's going to try and go down the inside of Lakitu, and Gonainen tries to sneak his nose in there as well. Not a good start from Lakitu on those medium tyres, perhaps unsurprisingly. He's under big pressure already from Louis. There's a bit of spinner in the background. The racing point of Lars is around at the bottom of the source, but thankfully for him, he is able to carry on, and it's Benny in the lead of this race, but Cedric's going to try and get alongside him here on the run towards Lecombe here, just using his overtake, using the slipstream for the first part of that straight, and round the outside he goes. So it is the Mercedes of Cedric in the lead of this race from 3rd on the grid. Benny is 2nd, Gonainen is 3rd, Lakitu in 4th, just about managing to hold Louis off as we're trying to have a look here at Lars just to try and see if he has got any damage. That camera angle proving to be the most unhelpful one at all at this moment in time. It does look as though his front wing is nice and clean though. Zach getting pretty close to the back of his teammate, not able to make a move in these early stages. Compassion has, did you say Compassion's had a problem?
Yeah, he's round. I don't know what's happened to him. He's come through no name, and oh my goodness, Lars hit into the back of him. There was no damage there, but
I'm not sure if that's a connection issue on your end, because on mine, Compassion's just racing around coolly in the field at the moment.
Oh, he's he's behind Lars, and he's had a massive spin out of no name. So great. I mean, you know, it looked like Lars had been completely died, but it seems like Lars is completely all right. Oh my goodness, look at the Blodgemont! Oh my god. I didn't expect that, going side by side there. We completely got caught out there, but yeah, that would be something we'll have to deal with, I'm afraid. So yeah, hopefully it's not too much of an issue.
Yeah, so it seems like Compassion's slowing in slightly different paces, depending on whose screen you look at the moment. Seb Vet's getting very close to Dynastics there. That might get a bit interesting later on. Pat has managed to just hold off ahead of Compassion at the moment, but it is Cedric in the lead of this race. There's the view on the pole sitter's car at the moment. He got a good start, but it is that run through Rouge and Radion. If someone gets in your slipstream on lap 1, you're not really going to have much chance to fight against it, and we'll see if we get any DRS trains at the moment, as Gonainen seems to be pushing pretty hard at the moment, getting a bit of a twitch on there on those soft tyres, and Lakitu just doing what he can to try and stay within a second of these cars, because if he can do that in the next couple of laps, as we see the predicted pit stop strategy come up there, and imagine it is going to be medium soft or soft medium, unless any car picks up any damage, that can make it a bit more awkward. If Lakitu can just stay within a second of these guys, as we've had another yellow flag, and that is Dynastics out of the race. He has definitely gone off at no name corner, and that is a safety car.
Yeah, well, this is actually an interesting one, isn't it? Because this is usually, when you get a safety car this early, you should have...
Gonainen, sorry to interrupt, Sam. Gonainen's got straight into the back of Benny under the safety car, given both a 5-second penalty, and he's got huge front wing damage. So I'm guessing you were going to talk about whether they come into the pits or not. For the Alfa Romeo, he's got no option.
Oh yeah, and I wonder what they'll do actually, because this is interesting, because we don't know how long the safety car is going to be out for, because we don't know how many people are going to pit. But if it stays out for only 2 laps, for example, then the medium probably will not make it to the end, or you'll be risking a puncture towards the end. Obviously, there is no virtual safety car or safety car from that. But it's a very interesting one, because if you don't pit, you are probably going to completely be screwed over, really, because not making a pit stop now like Louis has done, you're basically playing with something here, because you've got to really stretch a gap on the drivers towards the back, who have already pitted. The good thing is for Louis is that he's on the medium tyres and he's going to make them towards the sauce. What on earth is he doing? He's completely past the safety car. Hoping that hasn't got him disqualified. I don't think it has, but I mean, more interestingly, most people opting for the sauce and said they're opting for, I'm assuming, well, most certainly, would be a 2-stop here on the soft tyres.
Yeah, I could sort of see the logic of that, to be honest, and maybe he's thinking there could possibly have been another safety car. Gunanian actually managed to get another 5-second penalty in all of that for collision with Lakito. So not only has he served one of them, he's got another, so I imagine he'll be hoping for a safety car to pop up as well. And of course, this is a bit of a reprieve for Lars, who it allows to catch up to the back of the field. So we'll go through who's stopped then. It's for just the top 6 that have stayed out on circuit, and we do have a bit of a mixture of strategies. Benny and Gonanainen have gone for that risk on the medium tyres. Most of the other drivers, actually, unsurprisingly, just playing it a bit safer in these early stages and going for the hards.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. And I mean, maybe with Seb there, which could be an interesting one. Because I don't think the safety car comes in like a lap after it's brought out, so we will have safety car no matter what happens, I believe, until the end of lap 4. So I wonder with Seb there, he's on the sauce here now. I wonder if he'll convert back over to mediums, because I believe he started on the mediums, which he couldn't use the mediums. And possibly, just possibly, that would be a good strategy, because the mediums will make it to the end, I think, no matter what. Faz has left the session, which is really unfortunate, but I think the mediums can make it to the end. But again, you are playing with fire a little bit, because your tyres towards the end are going to be awful. You're going to be risking a puncture, but I think that is probably Seb Vet's plan, just to make sure that he can get on the mediums again, because obviously he probably doesn't want to be on those hard tyres for too long. But I guess that's wasting a set of softs, but you've got new sets of softs anyway because of the wet qualifying. So interesting for the Seb Vet there.
Yeah, and even if it's one safety car lap less on the tyres, that could make all the difference at the end of the race to whether you do get a puncture or not. It's probably worth about half a lap in normal conditions, but we'll just see if the Haas dives back towards the pit lane, because that would actually be a very clever strategy. And yeah, he is doing pretty much exactly what you said. He's coming into the pits, and as long as he's got as long as he went for the balance setup, we should have a brand new fresh set of the medium tyres and not a one-lap slightly warm one, because again, that could make all the difference. So it is Louis still in the lead. Safety car almost certainly will be coming in this lap as Joey, he gets a penalty for a severe collision with wrist. I wonder if he's slowed down to try and avoid BRT Faz's car, and that's another Alfa Romeo picking up front wing damage under the safety car.
It's not a very good day for Alfa Romeo then, with both of them getting wing damage, did you say, or was it? Yeah, it was both of them that got wing damage to wrist, and more importantly, wrist is actually in a fairly decent position, so he screwed himself up there. And I mean, interestingly to see is that Seb Vet actually went onto the hards, meaning that perhaps he could have gone in for hards last time out, but he didn't trust them or something, which is, in my opinion, a rather interesting one. I think the hards could go to the end from probably lap 1 to 22, wherever you pit. I think they can go to the end, but I guess Seb Vet thinks a bit differently, so he just takes an extra lap just to get onto those hard tyres. And I mean, more importantly, I'll be interested to see what these medium tyre drivers do, because they are going to be quite quick of it. But they have lost a lot of time, and it's like, I believe Benny was towards the front, wasn't he? He's not even near Cedric at the front of this train. I don't know what's happened to him. I think that's because he had a 5-second penalty with Gonnanan. So yeah, Gonnanan's kind of screwed Benny's race up, and I don't think Benny can get that removed now since he served it.
No, he won't be able to. Of course, if it's found that Gonnanan caused the penalty, he might get himself another 5-second penalty as well. I wonder if Seb Vet was just going for the medium soft strategy and just forgot to, when he came into the pits, just plain forgot to change his strategy over and came back out on the soft tyres. We've seen it done before, because the hards no worries whatsoever of making it to the end of this race, especially now that they've been a couple of laps under the safety car. But hopefully we won't get any more laps under the safety car. It is coming in at the end of this one, and Louis, I think for a second there, was tempted to go until he realised he'd actually catch up to the safety car. And if you do that on this game, you don't get a penalty, but you do get the brakes all of a sudden slammed on, and you have no control over it whatsoever. And I think, again, it looks like he's gone quite early. As long as he don't keep going and slowing down, there's nothing wrong with this. He has gone absolutely flying off, and he's caught forever napping at the moment. The Haas driver's nowhere near Louis as he comes around the bus stop chicane. So an absolutely fantastic restart from the Red Bull driver in the lead of this race. Forever is second. Faz is still disconnected, so he's going to plummet down the order, probably to last place by the time they finish this lap nearly at this moment in time. So Joey in the net third position. Let's not forget, no DRS now until the end of lap 6 because of everything that has happened. Everyone seems to have got through the first few corners cleanly. What's Benny doing on those medium tyres? One of the two drivers to stop for a set of mediums. Lars getting past his teammate Compassion, coming through Eau Rouge and Radion. Very brave indeed. Let's see if he can now try and work his way up the order after that first lap into Black Phoenix. Looks as though he's trying to pull out there and maybe have a go on Ginger, but not able to do anything. A very sensible first lap restart after everyone at this moment in time. But Louis is absolutely gone from forever at the moment, and I think because Faz was disconnected, obviously, Joey's been caught out as well.
Yeah, and Joey's lost a lot of time to Ferrero. We saw last week he was losing a lot of time on the soft tyres, so I wonder if this is just Joey's sort of pace in general here, because on the medium tyres in Britain he wasn't particularly good either. He seemed to have a decent first stint, but the second stint was awful. For Faz, even more disastrous. He's lost so much time, but that's obviously because he's disconnected. Pat, with that, has lost a lot of time. Probably has had a bit of a distraction there with Faz in the way. So he's in fourth right now. For Pat, this is good, but these guys do have to pit again. The good thing for Louis is that he got away so quickly. He's got well away from Cedric. And speaking about Cedric, right on the back of wrist, is he looking for the move? He'll have to go to the outside. It'd be a pretty good move if he gets this done. And you know what? That's nice and clean, and he's done that very nicely. And Wrist actually heads into the pits with that. So I wonder if Wrist, well, he did pick up damage, didn't he? So that's the reason he's pitting.
Yeah, that's the reason he's pitting. And Lakitu is trying to send one up the inside here at La Source, sensing a bit of an opportunity with Cedric maybe on a slightly compromised line through the second part of bus stop after going for that move around the outside. Baz has now dropped. Well, he's now dropping outside of the points. Black Phoenix is going to get ahead of him as well. It'll be hard tyres on Risk car. They'll take it towards the end of the race. No worries whatsoever as Lakitu now in the slipstream of Cedric on the run down the Kemmel Straight. No DRS until the next lap, of course. Can he get it done down the inside on the brakes? And Cedric didn't really have a choice there but to just let that manoeuvre happen. So Lakitu all into fifth, the lead car out of those that have done all their pit stops, of course. Unless there's another safety car, you wouldn't expect anyone on the hard tyres to have to pit. And Benny and Gonainen, the 9th and 10th respectively, you'd imagine they're hoping to go towards the end as well. But a fantastic restart from Louis, and he's still pulling away that pace as well. He's got the gap up to nearly 2 seconds now. He just seems quick on these mediums.
Yeah, and he's doing what he needs to do, Louis, really. If he wants to win this race, he needs to build a gap. And wow, that's a pretty big gap to the hard tyre driver who has pit, Lakitu, 6 seconds. That's a lot of time. You've got to think Lakitu's going to be on those hard tyres, while Louis is going to possibly be on those soft tyres at the end. So, I would have thought he would be on those soft tyres at the end. So for Louis, he's doing a brilliant job right now. And because he's got no sort of traffic in the way or anything, he's going to be quicker than these hard tyre drivers for some time, I reckon.
Yeah, one of the medium tyre drivers, though, Benny's trying to make his way up at the moment. Gets ahead of Ginger, so he's now up into 8th place. And I think that's the first on-track pass we've seen one of those medium-tyred cars make. So whether we'll see him try and work his way up the order now, as Gunnanainen's decided to send one up the inside at La Source. I don't think he wants to get stuck in this DRS train, so a very good move there from Gunnanainen. DRS is active now, and that's Ginger dropping down into 10th place. Louis almost certainly will be going on to the soft tyres. I'd imagine in a normal condition he'd have pitted maybe round a lap 13 or lap 14. Might be able to stretch that a lap longer now, of course, because of the safety car as Benny works his way past the other Red Bull of Zach. So he's trying to fly his way up the order at the moment in 7th place. I wonder if he's thinking about pitting again, because it doesn't look like he's saving those tyres at the moment. And you can see how hard he's pushing because he's picked himself up a penalty. We said Joey's pace wasn't looking fantastic. He's keeping the gap to Forever at about a second. He's just about within DRS range. And Pat's not putting him under any pressure at the moment.
Yeah, and the hard tyre drivers seem to be actually quicker than Louis. So I said about this praising Louis, but Louis may have burnt out his tyres a little bit. Or Lakitu is just pacing himself at the moment, just making sure he's taking care of his tyres. And more importantly, he will have the DRS on Pat ahead of him at the moment, which is what Lakitu would want. However, he's just lingering in and outside of it at the moment. Needs to make sure that he is secure for that, which I believe he looks like to be set to be now. But it looks like Joey's closing in, which is good, because it looked like his pace seemed to be a little bit poor to begin with. It seems like he seems to be closing in a little bit more. Pat has lost a lot of time to Joey now, 2.4 seconds between them two, but Lakitu seems to be closing in, and the good news for Louis is that he's got a significant gap to Lakitu. The bad news is that Lakitu actually has DRS and Louis does not, so Louis could actually still be in big trouble.
Yeah, and Joey did for a second then have the fastest lap of the race, but it was quickly taken off him by this man, Dononainen, who managed to get past Zach at the bus stop chicane. So he's just following Benny up the order at the moment. It might get a bit tougher for Benny though. He's got Cedric and Lakitu ahead of him, and they do look to be some of the class of the field in this race at the moment, as Lakitu has got DRS on Pat. He's too far behind to have a go, and that's pretty much how it is for everyone. Joey behind Ferreira. We do appear to have lost the times at the moment, so can't really tell you who's battling close, but you can see from Joey he's not going to worry about anyone behind him at the moment. Pat most certainly, as he's got Lakitu, Cedric, Benny behind him, you could see there. Compassion now picks up a penalty. He is in 13th position, has got himself a penalty, yet to get any points this season. Despite finishing both races, he'll want to go into the Christmas break on a high and maybe sneak himself a top 10 at the moment. Faz has managed to rejoin, but he's down in 15th, but I think the chances of him getting any points, given the fact that he has, of course, still got to pit, as he started on those medium tyres, might be pretty slim, but we know he's a quick driver. If he can keep it clean and there's a late safety car, you never know what could happen. We saw that in the F7 race yesterday that you took part in, Sam. A lot of changes around because a few drivers having penalties, and when there's a late safety car, those penalties really hit you hard.
Yeah, and this is what is important about these drivers, because initially they don't think about too much about the penalties, and then when it comes towards the end of the race and they have that scenario where perhaps a safety car does come out, those drivers are completely screwed, and that is where penalties really start to kick you right up the backside, really. So really, to be honest with you, if you do get a penalty, you could be costing yourself a couple of positions, and if the safety car, most certainly could be the chance that you're costing yourself all points altogether.
Yeah, definitely. The key to gap between him and Louis stayed pretty constant last lap at about 5.7, 5.8 seconds. Might close down a tiny bit more now as Lakitu is closer to Pat, and he might have a chance in the DRS here. Benny's got ahead of Cedric behind. Lakitu's going to have to go the long way round at Lecombe. Pat trying to hold off there. He's into the barrier. He's out of the race. That could well be another safety car or a VSC. Pat out of the race. He tried to hold on around the outside. It did look like he'd been left a decent amount of room, to be fair, by Lakitu. I didn't see too much squeezing, and there is another safety car, and this is bad news for those on the medium tyres, because ideally you'd want to go onto a set of mediums. So unless they do a soft and then go straight onto another set of mediums maybe under this safety car, but then you're going to drop to the back of the order.
Huge dilemma for the medium tyre drivers, to be honest, because really I can't see SOS going to the end from this point. They are fresh new SOS, however. They're not SOS that you would use in qualifying, of course, because there was no qualifying. Well, this is a fair, interesting one in my opinion, because this could be completely different. This could shake up the field massively, basically, and I wonder if anyone will try and risk the soft tyres. I doubt there will be anyone risking the soft tyres, but for Louis Ferreira, this has probably not been what they would have wanted. Louis pits, Ferreira stays out, so Ferreira risking it all, really, because he knows he'll be onto the softs. However, he'll be miles behind, surely, because those medium tyres are only going to go around, like, what, 5-6 laps before they completely get demolished by Lakitu, even less than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to be hoping that there's another safety car at some point in the next 2 or 3 laps, and then go onto a set of softs then, because yeah, I'm not quite sure why he wouldn't have come into the pits. To be honest, there's not been as many pit stops as I'd have thought. I was expecting maybe even some of the hard runners to think, maybe throw a set of mediums on towards the end. Compassion and Black Phoenix have both done that. They've come into 11th and 12th. Dononainen's back into the pits He's now on a set of these soft tyres. So, like you said, they are, of course, fresh soft tyres, but they're going to have to do 11 racing laps, I imagine. After the safety car, we're assuming safety car coming in at the end of next lap. Because of the length of the lap, drivers can catch up quite a lot here, and you wouldn't normally take them any more than 9 laps. 9 racing laps, at least.
Yeah, I wonder if the drivers like Ginger and Lars are perhaps looking behind. Louis going on soft tyres now, and they're perhaps thinking about switching it themselves. Louis and Joey are not on 9-lap on soft tyres, I can guarantee that, because they haven't been on the softs yet this session, so they're obviously fresh new ones. That's just the game being the game. So I wonder if those on the hard tyres between Cedric and Lars will perhaps be debating whether it's alright to sacrifice track position to go onto the softs, knowing those soft tyres are by far quicker. However, the problem with that is that there is a severe risk, because these drivers are going to be catching right back up to the train. Perhaps the only one that isn't is Rist, unless he's on a different part of the circuit to you. But really, it's such an interesting one here now, because the hard tyre drivers, they're going to be far slower than the soft tyres. However, the soft tyre drivers aren't particularly going to go to the end, in my opinion. They will go there to the end of soft tyres, but they definitely won't be feeling great towards the end. So, very mixed strategy now, and I think this will cause a lot of interesting strategies to come back at the end of this lap.
Yeah, we might be able to see will Louis and some of those others decide to ditch into the pits and put on a set of the mediums, maybe, after they've gone for the softs, because you have to use 2 different types of tyre. Forever and Faz both still do have to come into the pits, so they're the ones I was really surprised that they didn't come in. In fact, Forever comes into the pits now, when you've let the rest of the pack catch up to you.
That's interesting. I mean, the medium tyre drivers, I don't see any point coming in. The hard tyre drivers, I would have seen more point coming in. But no, it seems like Ferreira's the only one to come in from that list, and he'll be probably kicking himself a little bit, because although he's on the soft tyres, like Faz is quite unsurprising since he was near the back anyway. But Ferreira, I mean, I don't really know what to say about that one. That's a bit of an interesting one for me. I don't understand the position of that.
I mean, they're definitely relying on these softs lasting towards the end. Things that are in their favour, it's pretty overcast, so track temperature will be a few degrees lower than it would have been, obviously, if it was a nice, bright, sunny day. And Belgium, a bit like Britain, doesn't really get loads of nice, bright, sunny days, especially when the Formula 1 is in town. So that's going to help them. But 11 racing laps on a set of these soft tyres, like we were saying, it's a pretty long way, especially if they're finding themselves, as they are going to be, stuck in some traffic. They're going to have to get some overtakes done here. So everyone's now done a compulsory pit stop. We've got Lakitu leading the race on the hard tyres. Benny
Oh my goodness.
is second, as I think something else might have nearly happened under the safety car.
Well, for me, it's Compassion again. Compassion just got absolutely speared by Ferreira. Obviously, I don't think that is the case, because I just don't know where Compassion is. But for me, he just got absolutely killed by Ferreira. Ferreira just spun him round, like, deliberately. But I think that's just my screaming because of the teasing. But yeah, if it wasn't, then yeah, fair interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, Benny's on the medium, 7 laps old. Cedric, Zach, Ginger, Lars on old hards. Louis and Joey are on fresh softs. We've got Compassion and Black Phoenix 9th and 10th on fresh mediums, and Ristin 14th on fresh mediums. If I was them, I'd be the ones that are feeling not too bad at the moment, because you've got no tyre worries whatsoever about getting them up to temperature at this point, and you can just push like crazy for the final 11 laps of this race, and they will be starting to push soon. We saw a fantastic restart from Louis early on, where he went quite early. In some other races, we've seen the drivers go extremely late and pretty much leave it until after the bus stop chicane to go, and that can cause a bit of chaos and perhaps even more incidents behind. But Lakitu's got to watch out for Benny on those hard... Well, Lakitu on the hards. He's got to watch out for Benny on the medium tyres behind him. So when is he going to go? And he looks like he's pushing quite hard into the entrance of the bus stop chicane. And yeah, he's going for it now. So 11 laps remaining. Half the race is gone. Lakitu in the lead, then Benny and Cedric. Amazingly, the top 3 on the grid are now top 3 in this race, just in a very slightly different order, with the top 2 drivers swapped around. Zach is 4th, Ginger 5th, Lars is in 6th. What's Louis doing on those fresh, soft tyres? He went for that alternate strategy, starting on the mediums. Because of the second safety car, he's now got to try and drag 11 racing laps out of those soft tyres, plus for 2 under a safety car, and it does already look like he's got a good exit off of Radion here. Lars not bothering to defend on those old hard tyres, so that is the Red Bull up into 6th. He's got to make his way through this traffic cleanly and quickly though before the DRS becomes enabled, because then it might just get a tiny bit more difficult. Gonainen behind Seb Vett at the moment looks as though he was pretty close. He's not going to be close enough though to exact a pass. Again, a good restart from the lead of this race, but this time Benny has been able to go with him. Cedric in 3rd, just dropping a bit further back.
Yeah, Cedric falling back again, and perhaps that's just his hard tyres. Looking for poor Louis. Oh my goodness, what a move from there. The exit of Pouon that is this time. I don't know if that cost Ginger a penalty, but Ginger struggled a little bit from Pouon on those hard tyres. Louis, with all the grip in the world, swoops down the inside on the exit of Pouon. Not really what you see every day. A brilliant move. Brilliant trust with Ginger as well, he must have. And the good thing is that he's actually in the slipstream of Zach as well, and Zach's his teammate. So really for Louis, this could be a really, really good day for him. So at the moment, on the soft tyres, a brilliant restart from him. Joey not exactly put the restart to work just yet. Lars breaking late, just to defend from Joey there. So really, really good start from the soft tyre driver of Louis. He has one more lap to make up as many positions as possible. Otherwise, he could be trapped in that DRS train, which is probably what he doesn't want to be trapped in.
Yeah, Joey's managed to get ahead of Lars and Gonainen ahead of Compassion. So the soft tyres really punishing the racing points there. To be honest, Louis, if he gets ahead of Zach, he's not in a DRS train because Cedric's too far behind Benny at the moment. And you would expect on those soft tyres, Louis is just going to cruise up to the back of the 2 leaders, so there's still a good chance for him here in this race. It just all depends on will those soft tyres get towards the end, because if you get a puncture at La Source, any chance of you scoring points has gone out the window. You'd be impressive if you could just get it round the track, never mind get back in any decent pace. Still got 15 runners in this race. It was Dynastics, an accident out of no rain on lap 2 that caused a safety car, as we've now got Gonainen and Seb Vett battling with the Alfa Romeo getting himself back up into the points. Still though has a 3-second penalty hanging over him. It is Joey with a 5-second penalty at the moment. Rist has 6 seconds. Everyone else is on 3 at the moment as Seb Vett looks to get that position back. And it was Pat's accident on lap 9 of the race that did cause the second safety car. That's when we saw a few drivers coming to put the softs on, and we saw a couple coming to put the mediums. And that's why we've got quite a mix of trial strategies at the moment, with 9 and a bit laps remaining at the moment. Zach there, very cleverly, looks as though he's just slowed down to just let his teammate through at this moment in time. Louis now going to have to get a move on, though, to actually get back within the DRS as Cedric.
Yeah, and most certainly he does need to get a move on, but he's already got that move on already. He's already within a second, and well, the exit, it looks like obviously his exit will be better than Cedric, so he didn't get DRS there, obviously, because that's just the start-finish line, but I believe we'll get DRS up here, and I believe he's going to get it as well. Actually, this could be a really close one, you know. Does he get it? Well, the Delta won't be able to tell me.
I think he's...
No. He does not.
No, he's not got it. One driver has got it, though. He's Benny, because he's about to go for the lead of this race on those medium tyres. Waited for the DRS, and that is a straightforward pass for Benny. The Ferrari is into the lead of this race. Can he improve on his second place, then, by getting a victory? Compassion picks up a penalty. Louis not getting that DRS. It's just cost him 1 extra lap, stuck behind Cedric. He should have it next time around and should be able to get the move done, but will that be crucial? By the end, Ginger in 6th position seems to have recovered from that fantastic move that Louis put on him, and he's now got Joey not too far behind him. Lars, Black Phoenix, Gonainen, Seb Vett, Compassion, Forever, Faz, Rist. 15 runners remaining in this race, 9 laps to go. Will we see any more accidents? Will we see another safety car? We've already had 2 in this race, and if we do, what tyres has everyone got left to put on? You'd imagine it'd be a fresh set of softs. Benny gets himself a time penalty. He's pushing hard at the moment, so he's now got to gain 3 seconds on Lakitu, assuming that the Renault driver or the Ferrari don't pick up any more penalties, of course. Joey alongside Ginger then before we get to Blanchimont, and I think Ginger realising in the Alpha Tower that that move is over for him now, just trying to stick within the DRS, of course, and think maybe, just maybe, get a move done later on as Forever going all the way around the outside here at the bus stop chicane at the first part on Compassion. Compassion dropping down to 13. Black Phoenix seems to be doing a much better job on those mediums than the Racing Point driver is.
Yeah, well, I can't see Compassion. I don't know where Compassion is. He's gone. He's in the lead for me, but I don't know where Compassion is. It's 13 miles away. Yeah, I can't really say much about him, to be honest, because he's nowhere. For me, he's miles back. He hasn't made it through the source yet. Looking for a move. Then here comes Louis. He goes to third place there on Cedric, which is actually from M&T as well. So no real battles really. I would suspect too much going on there. Cedric knew that Louis would be the quicker driver at the moment on the soft tyres. And really, the goal now for Cedric would be just to try and stick within the DRS for Louis, but I don't think it will be possible.
No, it's going to be a struggle, like you said, for Cedric, and that, if he doesn't manage to do it, that's going to put him under some pressure from Zach. And oh, he's going to be under big pressure from Zach a lot quicker than he expected. He's had a huge moment through Pujon, and the Red Bull driver managing to get ahead before we get to Canvas. And there we go, Zach now up into 4th position. We've got the 2 Mercedes line astern. So will Cedric maybe let Joey by to try and attack the Red Bull driver and get himself further up the order? You've got all these little interesting battles going on. All of a sudden here, Black Phoenix very close to the back of Lars, but he's stuck in a DRS train, so he can't use the tyre advantage he's currently got on those mediums, of course.
Yeah, and look at Joey now. He's looking for perhaps a double move on these guys. Is he going to go for it? Cedric goes to the outside, breaks way later than Zach there, and Zach getting pushed by Louis. That just shows the severe amount of grip Joey has, not Louis, sorry. Joey has much more grip than him, and he's going to send it down the inside. Nice and easy, should be on Zach. There we go. Zach could be in trouble here from Ginger behind as well, so a lot of battling still to be covered up. And more interestingly, it doesn't even seem like Louis really gaining on the front two at the moment, but more interested, this battle for 6th place isn't over yet. Zach has more momentum out of El Rouge, which is a little surprising, and he's got the move done, it looks like, on him. So Joey will have to go again, it looks like. Zach now slots back into position. Joey down another position again.
Yeah, Joey just pretty much ran out of ERS, so they both had DRS, but Zach obviously with that extra 100 plus brake horsepower from the hybrid system in the Formula 1 cars was just able to use it down the straight and manage to get ahead, and that's allowed him to catch a tiny bit up to Cedric. And I am slightly surprised that Louis isn't really catching up to Benny and Lakitu, because you'd imagine he'd still have the tyre advantage at the moment, but again, he's looking very low on his ERS, down to about 3% at the moment, and with so many flat out sections on this circuit, as soon as you're dropping behind 10%, it's going to cost you a lot of momentum and a lot of time, as Lars and Black Phoenix really battling at the moment over 8th and 9th place. The McLaren driver trying to make some moves up the field. He knows he can't really do it in the DRS points on this circuit, because Lars has DRS, as does Ginger, as does Joey, as does Zach ahead of him, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. And you can't take too much of a risk, because Gon and Aynham, Sebvet, pretty much the entire rest of the field aren't too far behind him. So Black Phoenix is closing in here into the bus stop chicane, thinks about a late move to the outside, as Lars, I think then, was trying to defend from Black Phoenix and didn't realise how close he was to Ginger, and has gone straight into the back of the Alpha Tauri driver. And Lars has now got to do the rest of this race, probably with a broken end plate. And he seems to be slowing down, I think. That's Lars' chance of getting any points out of the window. Wouldn't be surprised. He's going to come into the pits this lap. Hopefully, he carries on. He might get a fastest lap, and you never know if there could be any more incidents. But that's Black Phoenix up into 8th.
Yeah, and I don't exactly know what happened to Lars here. I weren't really paying attention to that. I was paying attention more to Black Phoenix getting by. I didn't really see what happened with Lars here, unfortunately. But interesting for him, it looks like he's going to be out of this race now. I doubt he'll carry on. He'll carry on and try and get the fastest lap, but he'll be begging for a safety car, but I mean, that's not really going to come now, is it? Which is a bit of a shame. But interestingly, Louis is no longer closing with Lakitu, so either Louis is, well, in my opinion, I think it's just down to the fact that Louis has really not played his ERS well. He's got no ERS compared to Lakitu on 40% there. and that's probably cost him a lot anyway, because it looks like he probably has a little bit more grip than the Keto. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, but because he's got no pace on the straights, and because the Keto has the DRS, he's completely stuck. And here we go, here's something. What on earth is up to Faz? It absolutely binned it in the wall there, and Lars is probably praying for a safety car, and we've got a virtual safety car, so Lars probably is going to put it in pits this lap and go for a fastest lap, but unfortunately it looks like no points for the Racing Point team, well, from Lars' side anyway, but depends what Compassion's doing. I don't know what he's doing, so yeah.
Well, what Compassion is doing at the moment, he's 13th, so the Racing Points are last and second last. Not ideal for them. I'm sure they would have been hoping for a full safety car, which could have really spiced things up. So Lars does come into the pits then on those hard tyres with that broken front wing. He was trying to defend from Black Phoenix and ended up just giving Ginger a little tap into the bus stop. DRS is enabled once again, so a very short virtual safety car then. Lars has retired from the race, as has VRT Faz. We're down to just 13 runners all of a sudden. Everyone keeping it nice and clean under the VSC, and it did look as though Louis just gained a tiny bit there with Conor Nanan on those soft tyres, getting ahead of Black Phoenix. That's the Alfa Romeo driver up into 8th. Compassion and Wrist actually battling as well, so Wrist now drops into that last position. We'll have a quick check of the penalty situation. Once again, Benny has 6 seconds at the moment. If the race finished now, he's not getting on the podium.
Yeah, well, for Benny, I think really that screwed his race up entirely. Even with a virtual safety car or safety car, that's completely ruined his race, to be honest, because with 6 seconds of penalties, and on warm medium tyres, I can't see him making much more gain. In fact, I see him making more of a loss. Perhaps the key to getting by, but I think the key to what he would want to do anyway right now is just sticking the DRS. I think he's not going to fuss too much about Louis. He knows Louis' tyres are going to go off quite soon. Maybe Louis would have a go at Lakitu, but because Louis got no ERS until 0%, he's used all that up then. I think that's really going to bite him in the foot, really. Bite him in the backside, to be honest, because Lakitu is right behind Benny, and he's going to continue getting DRS from him.
Yeah, and he knows, like you said, he knows he doesn't have to overtake him, and he knows Louis not within a second. I think if Louis did have DRS on him, he might try and get ahead of the Ferrari driver, but he's quite comfortable just staying in that second place, because at the moment it would be enough to give him that first victory of the season. And the way things are standing at the moment, I think it would actually move the Renault driver up into second position in the championship. Are we seeing any moves further down the order? Black Phoenix has done a much better exit through Eau Rouge and Raddy on those mediums, probably a lot better than the softs on the Alfa Romeo at the moment, and that is Black Phoenix back up into 8th position. And there's still that worry over the soft tyres. You've got to say, will we see any trouble towards the end? Hopefully for their sake, they'll all be able to get nice and smoothly. As Cedric, he picks up a 3-second time penalty. That could well cost him a podium with the way things are at this moment in time. Joey's not really putting him under pressure, and because he's been in traffic a lot longer than Louis, you'd imagine if anyone's likely to be in tyre trouble, it's probably going to be either the Mercedes of Joey or Conor Nanan, Seb Vettel forever.
Yeah, however, we do have to point out that Louis looks like he's been pushing much more. Despite Joey's been in some sort of traffic, Joey hasn't particularly been pushing as much as Louis, so really it's an interesting one, but you would expect Joey and Gonan's tyres to be much worse for wear, but we'll just have to wait and see really, because the soft tyres seem to still be working quite well, not extremely well though, but they will go off towards the end, it looks like, and I think Joey right now is a pure example of that. He's not really going quick at the moment, losing time to Cedric a little bit. Not too much time. Zach just behind 4 attempts. He may look to overtake Joey because Joey has fallen out of DRS now, and a poor exit to La Source could mean something, and with those wary tyres it could be more difficult than said, and he is out of DRS range there, but he does enter, and I think he will have DRS just for now, so this is helping him a little bit. Yeah,
I think maybe if he drops outside of DRS, that's really going to be costly then for Joey, and that would allow Zach to get ahead. The drivers who are going to be on the best tyres to be Compassion and Mist in 12th and 13th, and Black Phoenix on 8th on those medium tyres at this point in the race. They've only done 9 laps. They're definitely not going to have any puncture worries or even performance worries. I think the rest of the field probably fine when it comes to punctures, but probably in a bit of trouble with just pure tyre performance towards the end and might find themselves sliding a tiny bit more. Benny's still in the lead then, but he now has 9 seconds of penalty. So again, that's going to drop him off the podium, dropping behind Zach. So probably dropping him outside of the top 5 as things stand. Even Sebet would be able to jump him in 10th position. So keeping it clean for the Hat with all the safety car drives that we've seen. He might be in 10th place at the moment. He might be able to sneak a really good points finish here. He's only had 1 point all season, and that was in round 1 at Australia, despite finishing last time out. He was down in 15th. It's fair to say we've had a few more retirements in this race than we had at Silverstone. The Eau Rouge punished a few of the, well, it punished Faz in qualifying. We've seen a couple of incidents at Lacombe. We've seen one coming out of No Name. We've seen one coming out of the Camper Chicane as well. And that's given us 2 safety cars, a virtual safety car, mixed up strategies, with 2 laps to go. Benny still leading. And to be fair, Louis, I can see why Louis is catching up, because Benny's tyres, they're not going to be in an awful state as well, of course.
Yeah, and the key to him may launch an attack here because he is quite close to Benny, and he wouldn't want to stick behind Benny and lose time through that. So I think more interestingly here, Lakitu should get the move done. He's already looking at it already. Much better momentum out of there. And there we go. Nice and easy around the outside. Benny doesn't fight it too much. I doubt he'll fight into this corner either. He's got penalties, remember. But the good thing for Benny is that the fact that he has got the DRS, which will just about help him. He may not have the DRS because he's already lost a half a second of time. But for Louis, this is good news because if these two do battle enough, Louis could enter that DRS zone. And if those shots have got something left in them, he could potentially launch an attack on Lakitu as well.
Yeah, someone who's soft really don't look good though is Joey. He's been passed on by Zach on that lap, so that is now Zach up into 5th place. Red Bull, they're looking pretty good at the moment. They're second in the Constructors' Championship, 15 points behind McLaren, and they're both going to get a top 5, whereas for Sol McLaren of Black Phoenix is only in 8th place, so that might be enough to just change that gap. Compassion managed to get his way past Risk and Sebet as well, who I think has made a bit of a mistake. We are now seeing, I think, those soft tyres really start to struggle on quite a few of these cars. Ferreira's got 1 lap pressure, so maybe that's why he's not affected as much, and Louis been in free air, so we're coming up towards the final lap of the race as now Joey and Ginger's gone off coming out of Blanchimont there. I'm not sure if there was contact with Joey, but he's going to drop a long way down the order. Joey picks up another time penalty. Black Phoenix now trying to work his way up the field. He's got the DRS coming out of the corner. Joey's got, well, not got plenty of any DRS, but he's trying to use it to just hold on to that position. At this moment in time, Black Phoenix, with so much more grip, just drives clean out around the outside of the Mercedes and gets himself up into 6th place.
Yeah, great position there for Zach at the moment. Zach in a wonderful position. It could be even podium position here. Cedric into 5th place now, Zach looking to the inside. Cedric doesn't actually defend that. I'm kind of surprised considering this is the last up. However, he does know he does have a penalty and Zach doesn't. Zach's still going down the inside and Cedric still battling him, but it does look like Cedric has given up. Has he? No, he hasn't. He's still there. And look at these two battling side by side through these corners. Now through No Name. Surely Zach has the position. Good momentum from Cedric. He's going to pull in alongside Zach, and I'm sure he'll back out here. Yes, he will. Nice and easy. Just slots in position. But really now for Zach, a really good position here because it looks like now he's going to be getting a podium because Benny has got 9 seconds worth of penalties, and well, Zach doesn't look likely to lose 9 seconds in this lap and be in a position that he's in now.
No, so it does look as though Benny is going to drop off the podium despite having led most of the last part of the race, just going for those mediums. The gamble didn't quite pull off. Lakitu, he was up near the front at the start of the race. He's gone on the hards and he's used them well. He's kept it clean and he rounds the bus stop chicane to take victory here then in round 3 of the season. It is a win for the Renault of Lakitu. He takes the checkered flag. Benny is in 2nd place. Joey and Gonanane and further down the order are going to be battling towards the line, and Ginger's going to be in a drag race as well, so we'll wait for all of that to just sort itself out. It's a double podium for the Red Bull team then. Louis in 2nd, Zach in 3rd, but it's a first podium and a first win of the season for Lakitu. We've said he's had good pace so far this year. As Joey gets driver today, he's finally had a chance to show it.
Yeah, brilliant pace from Lakitu today, and you don't finish ninth, you don't finish in a fairly good position in the F2 Championship last season for nothing, of course. And this doesn't seem to be a particular track he enjoyed really last season, but for this season he seems to have enjoyed it, of course. On the top step of the podium with two French drivers as well there, but really for him today, a big redemption day for Lakitu, and Lakitu now probably now going to be finding much more confidence from that. Probably, if he can, he'll look to try and close the gap between him and M Short in future. So hopefully for Lakitu, he could be charging on for a championship battle here.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick point about the tyres. Gonanainen, who just missed out on the points, apparently he had 95% soft tyres left towards the end, in case you want to know how close it was to getting a puncture. I'm absolutely surprised he didn't. It was Lakitu with a victory though, Louis with second and the fastest lap, so that's a great performance from him. Zach getting a second podium of the season, finishing in third. Cedric was fourth. Black Phoenix went for the mediums on the second stint and got himself up to his first top 5 finish of the season. Penalties costing our pole sitter then, Benny finishing in 6th. Joey was 7th. Ginger in 8th. Seb Vet 9th. Ferreira picks up the final point for the Haas team. Gonanainen just missing out, as did Compassion and Rist. Lars, we saw retire in the pits. BRT Faz had a disconnection and then we saw crash out, causing the virtual safety car. Pat had an accident there with, I believe it was, of course, with Lakitu, so that might be a bit interesting afterwards. See if that goes to the stewards, and Dynastics retiring on lap 2. That race pretty much had everything in the end.
Yeah, that race had a lot, and perhaps the prospect of wet weather as well. We may have thought of that happening, but obviously no wet weather it looks like for us, which is good to see because we got some good racing. But yeah, like you said, everything happened today. Most importantly, though, we have a new winner this season. So not only do we have M Short finally bowing down to a new winner, but of course we haven't seen M Short in a race where he has lost yet, which is a shame. But well done to Lakitu today. Brilliant result for him, and well on track for a good performance.
Yeah, definitely. I think after all what's happened, M Shaw is still in the lead of the championship. Zach's managed to close the gap up to 6 points with a second podium of the season, and a great job by Louis. He did what he had to. He finished second in that race, and he just worked his way up on those soft tyres and didn't get himself stuck in the traffic, because we saw later with Joey, Gonanainen and quite a few others on the softs, once they were stuck in the DRS train, they didn't really have that tyre advantage anymore to overcome that.
Yeah, and well, the soft tire drivers they had the unique strategy today, and I think that was probably a good one. But I mean, like Gonadan said, 95% at the end there. His heart must have been beating. Just to make sure that he could get to the end. But really, to be honest with you, with all of the drivers, they seem to have done pretty well today. And I mean, I think the soft tire drivers particularly, I think they'll be very happy, and I think Louis especially, because by hearing how much percentage Gonanen had on his tyres, Louis mustn't have been far off that. And the fact Louis got a podium from that, in fact P2 from that, he'd be quite thankful for that. His tyres didn't explode and go.
Yeah, and it's not like he had bad pace either. He seemed to have pretty good pace towards the end. He wasn't catching up to Lakitu and Benny, but he was sort of keeping at that same distance. Some of that obviously down to the fact that Benny's tyres would have been in a fairly bad condition as well.
Yeah, and I think it was a rather split decision between all of them, really. I think the ones on the hard tyres in the end would have been victorious either way, because the medium tyres would have gone, obviously, from lap 2 or lap 3. They would have been really out of the pace, and we saw that with Lakitu gaining a lot of time there. And the soft tyres as well, those drivers opting to pit for the softs later on in the race. I think it was rather a gamble, and maybe if the safety car came out 2 laps later, it would have been the perfect time for Louis, and I reckon Louis would have easily won that race if the safety car had come out maybe 2 laps later. So really unfortunate for Louis. I think he would have been thinking, damn, if the safety car came out a little later, it is prime time for those softs. But because it was not to be, I just don't think that Louis will be too worried, too annoyed about that, because he's still got P2, and well, it's a good introduction into the championship, because I believe that is his first points of the season. So Sorry, it's not his first points of the season. He's already got 6. So, yeah, he's now got 18 points. So, yeah, brilliant race from him today. And, well, from all the top 3, I wouldn't say it's unpredictable, but it's rather different to see no M short on there, which is a good thing. Well,
Yeah, of course.
kind
M short absent, which is the main reason why we didn't see him, obviously, on the podium. Shame for Benny with all the penalties, because he'd been looking pretty good. He would have got second if he'd have kept it clean. In the end, only able to finish in 5th, obviously.
Yeah, and well, it's just interesting, really. Benny, he really screwed himself over, to be honest. He had good pace today, but because he pushed so much, it lost him out. And yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember where he finished, but he didn't exactly finish too high. And because of the penalties, this really does play into that sort of factor, like how important actually penalties are. And if you get penalties, you shouldn't just say no bother, I've got a penalty and everything. Like, that's a big thing, really. And it can be a big thing sometimes.
Yeah, it does look like we are going to be able to get one interview in, and it is going to be, well, at least one, and it is going to be with a man who finished in 3rd position in that race, and it is going to be T1000 Zach, who's managed to get himself another podium there, and he must be, I imagine, Zach, you're pretty happy with how that race went in the end.
Yes. It was a strange race, but very happy with the podium again. Unbelievable.
You said this after Australia, that you didn't think you'd be on the podium
Yeah,
again.
but look, 2 podiums in 3 races. What the fuck?
2 podiums in
How?
3 races, and you're second in the championship.
It's really, I'm so slow. I'm freaking slow. But in the races, I don't know what's happening. I'm just well placed every time, and yeah, another podium. So good.
Yes, you came into the pits under the first safety car, put the hard tyres on. Were you tempted to come in the second safety car and maybe go for the softs or the mediums?
Yeah, but yeah, for the second, I was really 50. It was really 50-50. But I thought that I was already in a quite good position, and the hards were okay, so I continued with the hards. But maybe I could have pitted for the mediums, but the softs, I could not believe the softs. I mean, there's some guys like Louis, my teammate. He did 11 or 12 laps with the softs. Wow, that was very impressive. I thought he was getting a puncher at the end, but no, he managed quite well the softs. So yeah, congrats to my teammate though, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, 2nd and 3rd, a good result for the Red Bull team. And I'm trying to do the maths very quickly in my head. It's definitely brought you close to McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. Do you think you've got maybe a chance of winning that this season? Still, obviously, 9 races remaining, but you've both got a podium today, and for yourself, it's your 2nd podium.
Yeah, I have no words. Really. I mean, you can see my pace in quali. I'm always like P9, P10, P11, P12, never in the top 3, top 5. And then I don't know what's happening in the races with the other guys, but I'm managing to gain a few positions and ending in the podium. Like, really, I don't know why and how.
Sam, do you have any questions for Zach?
No questions at the moment.
I'm just going to go for one more. So, obviously, Christmas break now. 9 races left after the break. Any circuit that you're looking forward to in particular?
Good question. I don't really know. What's the next track? Japan, I saw?
No, it's your home race
No,
next.
France?
France.
Oh, yeah, France. Then, yeah, next race then. Here's your answer. France.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to put on a good performance at your home race. So, congratulations.
Maybe
again,
another
Zach.
podium then.
Yeah, congratulations on the podium, and who knows, you might be able to get some more as the season goes on.
I hope so. Thanks.
Cheers. So yes, Sam, a great race to end before Christmas, and there's a few drivers there showing that M Short might have won the first 2 races, but he can't afford to be absent because there's a few quick drivers in this F3 team, obviously.
Well, yeah, and obviously Emershot may have got a good start and everything, but we all know how quick Lakitu is. Faz could have been up there today. It was unfortunate with him today, and well, I think interestingly, we will see again how quick this tier is, but we do need to stress really the fact that M Short seems to be the most consistent driver. It's basically now just a copy and paste of last season, like from the start, that is, because looking at the consistency, we've seen Lakitu finish 4th, 16th and win. We've seen Louis, for example, finish 11th and 5th, Lars DNF and 4th, and Zach 2nd and 7th, and then obviously 2nd again today. So sorry, third today. So that's a little bit of consistency, and it's early doors, I know, but it seems to be that M Short is the only one sticking that pure consistency to that first place. And yes, we didn't see him today, but I'm sure he'd be looking to get up there in France because he needs to come back strong, because it is early doors in the championship, but missing out on this race, and perhaps the key to now finding some form, could really find the confidence for Lakitu. And if M Short doesn't back that up next week, Lakitu, who will probably have a little bit more confidence now than M Short going into next week, knowing that M Short doesn't know where he'll finish today, I think Lakitu's got a pretty good shot of getting a good result again next week, and M Short would have to definitely watch out.
Yeah, he's going to have to watch out. And that is, as we said, that is pretty much it then for this F3 stream, which means that is it for F3 for the Christmas and New Year break. There is still one more PSGL race to go. The F5 race is currently underway, so make sure to check that out. The first race back for PSGL will actually be on January the 3rd. It will be, well, January the 4th, sorry, on Monday. It will be the round 3 for Belgium for the F1 tier, because of course they had tonight off because of the Challenger Series. We'll be back with the French Grand Prix on the 11th of January, so make sure to see us there. But for myself and Sam, have a very Merry Christmas. Have as good a Christmas and New Year as you can, obviously, in the current situation.